What's going on, Kings? It's Keith. In our world, it's so common to want to show off to other people and to have the flashy new thing, and we're always trying to keep up with the Joneses, and I fall victim to this myself a lot of times, and I'm sure you do as well. It's the desire to beat others, to feel like you're better than others, to feel like you're worthy, and all these different things that go along with that, to feel like you're winning and show that off. And I constantly have to remind myself to win when it matters. And in this video, we're going to get into what it actually means to win when it matters and how you can apply that to your life. Now, before we get into that, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and bell icon so you don't miss new videos. This channel is all about helping you become that high value version of yourself. Now let's get into the video. So I want to start this video off by talking about a story that Kobe Bryant told one time while he was getting interviewed. And he talked about how at 14 years old, he had to understand that he needed to play the long game to be the best basketball player because he was talented, but he was very skinny. He wasn't very athletic at that age. And so he understood that the objective for him was to win when it really mattered, which was going to the NBA. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to be the best basketball player ever. So when he's 14 years old, he's playing in AAU tournaments and all this different stuff. And when you're playing in all these tournaments, there's not a lot of time to practice your game and improve different areas at it. So you have to do it in real time during the games. So he said he would take time during games. He wouldn't be so concerned with winning that game at 14 years old, and he would spend it as an opportunity to practice his weak points and improve different parts of his game so that he could get more well-rounded. Maybe one day he's focusing on left-handed layups or finishes at the rim, or he's focusing on his three-point shot in another one, or different moves he's trying to add to his game, whatever it is, his post game, all these different things. He's always working on a specific part of his game to improve it so that by the time it really matters, when you're 17, 18 years old and the scouts are all watching from the NBA teams at that time and colleges as well, he's the one with a well-rounded game, whereas the person who was relying on their pure athleticism or on one thing that they were actually good at 14 years old, they haven't improved their game at all. And so Kobe's destroying them now that he's 18 and he's spent this time working on his game, whereas that guy who was winning when he was 14 years old, he's now still the same guy at 18, and he's not as good because of that, because he never got better. He was winning when it didn't matter. He was relying on what he had right in front of him rather than focusing on the long game and trying to win when it really mattered. So in applying this story to you, when you're in your early 20s, you're usually pretty broke and you don't have much figured out. You're still trying to understand yourself, trying to build a career, trying to acquire skills and make your mark in this world. And because of that, society's really not interested in you because you haven't proven much of anything at all usually. And so you're usually just kind of the bottom of the barrel. That's just kind of how it is for men in their early 20s. Unless you get things handed to you, you usually have to start at the bottom and work your way up. Men have always been the disposable sex. We have to prove our worthiness to society, and that's just how it is. But being a man in your early 20s, you probably feel that desire to really look like you've made something of yourself, and you'll see social media and it looks like people are all winning except for you, and you really want to do well with the girls and all this different stuff. So there's this desire to really look like you're doing well right now in your early 20s. It's really important to understand, though, that your early 20s as a man are like Kobe at 14, okay? And so you might look on the internet and see your peers from school or whatever it is. It looks like they're really winning, and maybe they are winning right now, but they're winning when it doesn't matter. Maybe they're out having the greatest time ever at 22, 23, and you think you're missing out on something. You've made mistakes in life, whatever it is, and it's bothering you, and it looks like they're winning. And again, they might be winning right now, but they're not winning when it matters. And here's why. I want you to take a look at this chart right here. It's called the sexual market value chart. And what it does is it's a scientific table that it shows the peak attractive times for men and the peak attractive times for women. So at what age does a man reach peak sexual market value, his peak desirability to women? And at what age does a woman reach peak sexual desirability for a man? And you'll see for a woman's, it spikes very early in her 20s, and then it starts to tail off pretty quick after that. For a man's, it's more of a slow burn, and you'll see in your early 20s, you don't have that much sexual market value on average, and by the time you hit your 30s, you're starting to peak at that point. And that's the important part to understand about when it matters. Let's say you're some average 25-year-old guy. You got like an average average job, average body, you're making 4.5K a month, something like that. Just a pretty average guy, and you spend your free time going out trying to pick up chicks, you go to bars, all these different things. Look, I don't care how tight your game is, you're not going to be able to get like the baddest chicks at that point in your life. It's just not going to happen. And even if you do, you're certainly not going to be able to keep them because your lifestyle is just not going to be holding up to the other guys that are competing for those kinds of girls. Let's say that at the same time you want to have the nicest car possible at that age, and you drop $50,000 on a car. Okay, so you get a $50,000 car, but most people don't care about a $50,000 car. Like, the only people you're going to impress are car guys, right? But you buy the car to try and look like you're winning now, or you get the nicest place you can possibly afford to live in, or you go on the nicest vacations possible right now so you can show it off on social media. Even when you do those things, you can't really get the premium experience. You're splurging for the semi-premium experience right now so you can look like you're winning when it really doesn't matter. Whereas you could play it smart right now, take the Kobe approach, and understand the long game. I'm not going to try and beat you right now at 23. I'm going to beat you at 30 when I've put everything together. For those of you who watch basketball, how many 30-year-olds make it to the NBA? How many guys have you seen at 30 years old get into the NBA? Not many, right? I don't know any of them, actually. Now, why is that? Because you'd think, in all honesty, at 20 years old, they had a certain amount of skill. They could have spent another 10 years improving their craft, and they could be an even better basketball player at 30 than they were at 20, yet that never happens. So why doesn't it happen? I think it's because there's a certain window of opportunity. It's like the prime opportunity, where if you miss that window to really maximize the opportunity, yeah, you can still go back and make it happen, but it's just significantly less likely to occur at that point. So if you miss that prime window from about 17 to 21-ish years old, where you're really like excelling rapidly and standing out in sports or something like that, then you're probably going to miss your golden opportunity to go to the professional sports leagues. And that just, I think it just has to do with, once that window's missed, you have to start focusing on other aspects of your life. Now, the same thing happens in normal life if you're just trying to be the most high-value, baddest version of yourself. If you miss that window coming up on your 30s where you've put it all together, you've built your finances up, you've built your body, you've made yourself into the man, you've acquired skills, you've figured yourself out, and you've really just like put in the work, put in the time. If you missed that window and you wasted all that time and you didn't really take advantage of it, life just starts catching up to you. Because at 30, if you look around, it's kind of like people start thinking it's time to settle down. It's time to get a spouse. It's time to have kids. You want to have like this like stable life built and things like that. Most people want that. And so if you didn't take that 20s where honestly you weren't even supposed to be trying to win, you were supposed to be building yourself, if you didn't do that with it and you kind of wasted it and didn't take it that seriously, at 30 you're kind of stuck settling for mediocrity a lot of times because you didn't put that time in. You didn't put in the years to put yourself in a position to win when it really matters. And this, for any guy out there who's watching this, who's older, maybe you're in your 30s and 40s and you're like, well, fuck, does that mean like I shouldn't try? You still have to try. You still have to go for that ultimate version of yourself because that's what you're here to do. Your job on this earth is to live up to the potential God put in you. I firmly believe that. So just because you're starting late doesn't mean you can't succeed. It just means you missed the prime window. And I'm talking in particular to the guys out there in your early 20s, like myself, who understand your prime window, the like apex moment of your life as a man, has not come yet. So don't be worried about trying to stick it to everybody and show off. And like, I'm literally talking to myself a lot of times in this video because this is something that I really have to fight this urge to really want to just like show people and I'm doing these things. And remember to be patient. Be patient. Play the long game and win when it matters, guys. Remember to do that. Remember to put your ego to the side. Don't try and show off when the most you can show off isn't even that big of a deal. Show off when you can really show off. Show off when you've put together this ideal version of your life. And at that point, you don't probably even want to show off because you're just completely happy with your life. And at that point, it's like, why do I even care what the rest of y'all are doing? You know what I'm saying? You put it all together for yourself. And now you can enjoy that and you can be at peace with that while everybody else is having to accept mediocrity. They're going to have to accept mediocre income, mediocre cars. And here's the thing, like mediocre girls. Here's the thing about all that stuff is, Mediocrity leads to a highly stressful life too. So if you're thinking gee, I got to make my 20s really stressful, you can make your 20s really stressful and challenging for you. You can make the rest of your life. Because how many people are living paycheck to paycheck because they didn't put in the work early, and then life catches up to them. They got a kid now, they got a wife or whatever, and suddenly they just don't have time to sit there and grind and make their life into what it is they want to make it into because they missed that prime window. Don't miss your prime window. Win when it matters, guys. If you got something out of this video, give me a like, hit the subscribe button, and check out this video. It'll go along really well with it. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.